What's up, y'all? Welcome to this edition of the Whole Health with Rob Carney Podcast. And today we have our guest, Nick Kuhle. So Nick is a holistic lifestyle coach, corrective exercise coach, personal trainer. He's got his master's in exercise science. He is also movement and mobility certified, and he's been a school teacher for the past 7 years, and he is now just starting a traveling journey across the country. So he's got a very cool journey ahead. And we met at our HLC2, the Holistic Lifestyle Coach Level 2, out in San Diego back in April of 2019. And the way we met is a little comical. So I was borrowing a bike from the Airbnb I was staying at, and it only had one gear. So I'm pedaling away in my first gear, and of course it's not moving very fast. And so I see this guy on the other side of the street, and he's kind of looking at me like, "What the hell is this clown doing? Why is he sticking in first gear?" And at that point, we just started chatting, and we've been in touch ever since. We sat together for the first majority of that training out in San Diego, and he's here now to share his journey, share what he's up to, and I hope you guys enjoy the podcast. So without further ado, Nick, I'd like to welcome you to the show. Nick, welcome aboard.
Hey, Rob, how's it going, man?
I'm doing very well, my man. So as we just mentioned, you are a holistic lifestyle coach, a corrective exercise coach, a personal trainer. You got your master's in exercise science. You're movement and mobility certified, and you're a school teacher for 7 years. So you've got quite the background in the world of education, the world of health and fitness. So I would love to know where your journey started, and how did you get to the point where you are today?
Yeah, man. Well, let's start off with this, man. Today's a little bittersweet for me. I woke up this morning, and today is the first day of school in Iowa. And it's the first day in 8 years that I'm actually not going in to teach, which is kind of crazy for me.
Wow.
But it started, I guess my journey started years ago. I got in the whole fitness thing in college, met some buddies that were fitness enthusiasts, and started working out with them. And they were all personal trainers. I was the oddball out. I was the school teacher. But after starting in the fitness realm, then I got into teaching. I knew teaching wasn't going to be full-time for me. I just never knew what I wanted to do. And then came down with some health issues in my mid-20s where how deep do you want me to go, Rob? Do you want me to kind of dabble in with some of the finer details of the whole health thing?
Give the whole picture, whatever helps paint the picture for our audience here. Tell it all.
You bet, man. All right, it's funny in hindsight, but essentially I want to lean up a little bit, so I went with the ketogenic diet somewhere in my mid-20s, about 24, 25. I'm out of college. And I was eating a lot of meats, as you know, fats, but like I would have veggies. I would have a ton of cabbage and salsa. And after eating that for a while and being negligent and not listening to my body, like I would get really constipated. I would have extreme gas. Could never figure out what was going on because I was like reading these magazines, I was following these articles and these intelligent people, but not really listening to my body. And it got to the point where I had to go get a colonoscopy because I couldn't poop for 4 or 5 days. I was extremely gassy at night, and like they were disgusting, and like I was just so not in tune with my body that when I did get the colonoscopy, that all came out fine. The doctors, they ran blood work and stuff. My testosterone level got down to 80, right around the 80s, which is like equivalent to like an 80-year-old man, which is pretty sad for someone in their mid-20s. Then from there, they want to prescribe me testosterone supplements and like medical grade laxatives to fix my issue, but they never want to figure out what the root cause was. And I still look back and I feel lucky enough that I was intelligent enough to be like, no, screw this. I'm not doing that. I'm 24. I should be able to get a boner. I should be able to poop. Like, why? This is not normal for me. So I just continued doing more research and looking into things, and I came across food intolerance testing. Never heard about that at the time, and got some food intolerance testing done, and it came back that I was intolerant to cabbage and peppers, which peppers are in salsa, and I was having that almost every single day. So after taking that stuff out of my diet, like my body almost came back to the healthy version, like within a few days. It was crazy how much it changed. So that's like really what put me in that framework of, hey, there's something going on here. Like, this body is fascinating. I want to learn more about it. I went back, got my degree in exercise science, started listening to podcasts, came across Paul Chek like 7 years ago. And I was like, dude, I would love to do that. Don't think I want to go that route, though. It sounded pretty intense. And then fast forward a couple more years later, now I'm actually, now I'm going all in with it, stepping on the teaching and trying to learn as much as possible and help as many people out so they don't have to fall to the wayside of traditional medicine.
Well, that's awesome, man. Yeah, I think it's a very, very common first step. Is everyone, I talked about this on every podcast I've done so far, is the great pain teacher is often the reason why we get started down this path. And obviously for you, I can imagine it's a great wake-up call when your testosterone level is 80, if I believe that's what you said, and you can't take a bowel movement for about 4 to 5 days straight. I can't even imagine what that's like being 24 years old. So what would you say now has been the biggest change that you've done in your day-to-day life? I mean, obviously you start tuning into your body, but are there any sort of daily practices that you've done to really increase your testosterone levels, but just overall health and vitality beyond changing those foods?
So just by changing the foods, that like naturally got my body in a balanced state and my testosterone bumped right up. But one of the main things that I feel like I'm really good at is being an intuitive eater. And so like I really pay attention to what I eat and the symptoms and the signs that my body tells me afterwards. I know if I have like a lot of cheese or fats, I'll get dandruff. And it's like, all right, so it's funny because it's like, all right, how much do I care if I get dandruff for a day? Do I really want some cheese? Am I in the right situation? Like if I'm on a date or something, we want cheese and wine, awesome. Yeah, I'll go for it. Like I know what the side effect is going to be. But I think just being more aware and understanding how the body is a system of systems and everything is connected to one another. And I think that has just been like my saving grace.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I think it's something too that for me, so I actually worked with a group that did food inflammation testing. So just like you said, the food sensitivity, so it was a blood test and it tested for 132 different foods. Basically, you take a sample of your blood and it takes the effects that your blood has as a reaction with the different proteins from the foods. And for me, squash was one that I couldn't eat. Coffee was another. But there's a lot of things that, again, I was just naturally repelled to. And I think that's where the intuitive eating comes in handy, because a lot of times our bodies, we kind of feel repelled from these foods, or we're getting these signs and symptoms that we shouldn't be eating them. But because, as you said, if you're reading articles and they say, oh, this is healthy, this is how you do X, this is how you get Y result, we tend to ignore our bodies for the sake of the quote unquote experts who know everything about health, or so we presume. So in terms of intuitive eating, how do you recommend your clients, how do you recommend friends and family, how do you recommend that they get more in tune with their body and be able to listen to the signs and symptoms that they're telling us? Because again, people tend to take science and over what their body's science is telling them. So what do you tell people in that case?
Yeah, man. And it's one of those things where I think if you want to do it right, you got to put some effort in, you got to put some work in on your end. I know we're kind of in this realm where we want everything given to us. We want it quickly, but I know like I'm still in an ever evolving process of understanding my body, but it takes time to almost take a step back and simplify what you're eating. When you're eating out constantly, when you're having 18 different foods a day or even 12 foods a day, it's really tough to start pinpointing which foods are the reactors and which foods are actually nourishing your body. So I got food blogs where I've tracked every single thing that's gone in my body for months on end. I would track anything from like my morning wood to bowel movements to my sleep to how I felt within hours after a meal. Did I need snacks in between meals? Did I feel energized? Did I not? Like if you're putting food in your body and you're feeling exhausted 20 minutes later, like that should be a huge sign that the food that you're putting in your body is not nourishing you and it's almost a detriment to your health. So let's go back. We'll just cut down on the foods that you eat, go organic, and then just start keeping a log. I don't care if it's in your phone, it's on a small notepad, something along those lines, just so you start becoming aware of it. And then once you're aware of it, then you can make then the choice is yours if you want to act on it or not. Like me, like I still like cheese. It tastes awesome. I still want to have it, but I know that I might get some dandruff or get dry skin if I have it.
Definitely. And I think that's great self-awareness too. And I think that there's a misconception about the health and wellness world that you get to give up all these goodies. You can only eat 100% organic, the best foods available. But again, it comes down to, you got to find that balance. And if you're stressing over, which I used to when I first started studying nutrition, I was like, oh, I can only have a palm full of nuts. I can only have this a certain amount. I can only have it this times a week. But as you said, sometimes you just want that cheese, or you just want the wine, or whatever it is. And it may not be the best thing for you, but if you prepare your body mentally by saying, look, I know this probably isn't the best thing for me, but I accept what's going to come my way, and I'm okay with that. And I think that's a very important relationship to have with ourselves, and it sounds like you have that down pretty well. So in terms of finding balance, what do you think is, in terms of nutrition, what do you think is the proper balance in your life in terms of how many times a week can you have the quote-unquote unhealthy foods, and at what point does that start to become too much for you? Like if cheese is something that you react to, let's call that an unhealthy food for you. So what would you say is your balance in terms of healthy to unhealthy foods?
And that's honestly, that's a part that I'm kind of struggling with right now, especially in this transition period of my life, because I've been doing a lot of traveling. If I'm if I'm living at a place that has a kitchen and a fridge, I'm really good at eating healthy majority of the time. So I don't get too caught up in the day to day, because I know in the long term, I'm going to eat healthy and I'm going to eat organic. I'm going to eat foods that are nourishing to my body way over the majority of the time. So, I mean, like this last 2 months, like I've had Domino's pizzas, I've had Dairy Queen. I know it's not good for me, but at the time it's like, whatever, I want something. I don't feel like cooking. So I guess my thing is I don't try getting caught up from day to day. Like a lot of people do the 80-20 rule, which is awesome. I agree with that, but it's not like 5 days are set perfect, 2 days are cheat meals. It's just kind of like, we're busy. If some friends call me up, and that's something I value. I value time, quality time with my friends, and I'm one of the ones that I regard my health on a higher priority than some of them. So they might want to go out and have a beer, some food, and that's like, all right, well, I'll make that sacrifice. So today's my quote-unquote cheat meal, and I'll go out and have that and enjoy the time with them. But I know when I come back tomorrow, I'm going to wake up early and I'm going to get back on track. So I don't like to get set in stone on certain days of the week or how many meals. Just, I think I've got to the point where now I'm intuitive enough that I know when I need to and when I can get away with it, if that makes sense.
No, it 100% makes sense. I feel like I'm at a very similar place where, again, as you said, sometimes the community aspect isn't the healthiest environment, but knowing that the other days that we're in our normal routine or living at home, making our own food, we're eating 100% organic, 100% healthy for us. I think that to me, that is a worthwhile sacrifice. As you said, rather than getting caught up in let's say Sunday's my cheat day, or I can have this on that day. To me, that just gets too complicated and it gets too heady. It's too out of sync with our bodies. And again, it's not listening to the body, because we're assuming that the body's going to want to regulate once a week we have this cheat day or whatever we set the parameters at. But in terms of your traveling, I know you got this nice vagabond journey coming up. So I'd love to hear more about that. What made you make that decision and what your plans are with that moving forward?
Absolutely, man. Kind of below the question, so I'll just jump right in. But like as I said before, I've been teaching for the last 7 years, high school and middle school. And throughout the last 7 years, I always knew teaching was going to be a stepping stone. I never knew how I wanted to get out of it, when I wanted to get out of it. I just knew it wasn't going to be full time for me. I really enjoyed and loved my time working with them, but it wasn't my calling. And then I was planning on getting out of it this next year coming up, but sometime in May, I was just like, screw it. I'm done. I'll make it work. I'm not 100% ready for it, but you're never going to be, so I'm just going to jump right in. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be working on what I was doing kind of side time or on the side, working with clients on holistic health coaching, functional medicine, corrective exercise, personal training. So I got a friend that's a traveling nurse. I'm going to tag along with her to New Mexico for a couple months. That's going to be my residence. And then we're just going to travel around. But I would like to end back up in Iowa and really, I guess, set roots and get a practice going on helping other people become intuitive eaters, listening to their body, and not having to fall to traditional medicine and get sick and be prescribed a ton of medication.
That's awesome, man. So I guess my question for you there is, how long do you think you're going to be traveling for? Do you think is it just kind of up in the air? You're going to go with the flow, listen to what feels right, or do you have a certain time frame set?
Oh man, that's that's a great question. I don't know. So I guess in accordance with being an intuitive eater, I'm just going with the flow on this one and listening to myself. I have a hunch that it probably won't be as long as I think it'll be, because I'm not a homebody, but I like having. I hate living out of a suitcase. I hate traveling 1 month here, 2 months there. So I think it might catch up, and I might have to come back a little bit earlier. But for right now, I'm loving where I'm at. So I plan on traveling with this traveling nurse friend and just exploring, like go out and travel as much as I can, because I never got to do that in my younger mid-20 years. So I'm looking forward to reaping that now.
Yeah, man, I'm excited for you, because as we were talking about before we hopped on here, I mean, I've been kind of nonstop traveling here and there for the past 3 years. So I'm in the opposite zone here where I'm ready to go now. But it was like, yeah, when I went to Asia, I bought my one-way ticket. And again, I had no idea how long I was going to be out there. I started in Sri Lanka for 2 months working my buddy's farm and teaching English at the school there. And then went to Thailand for about 6 weeks, and then Malaysia for a few days, and Philippines for 18 days, and ended up being about 4 months. And again, I didn't know if it was going to be 2 months, 6 months, a year. I just bought the ticket, and for me, after the 4 month point, I was kind of like, all right, I'm ready to be speaking English again for full time. But just again, you never know, and I think giving ourselves that freedom and that opportunity is so incredibly powerful, because it's not often that we, first of all, allow ourselves to do that or have the opportunity to do that. So I always recommend everyone give themselves a chance to just buy a one-way ticket, or in your case, just go for it. I mean, you're not buying a plane ticket. You're driving, correct?
Correct, I am. Me and my pup, my little dog. She's gonna come with.
Yeah, so I think that's a healthy thing to do for most people, because, as I said, we don't often have this freedom. We tend to get locked in the system of things, where you go to high school, you go to college, you get a job, then you retire when you're 65, and then you start traveling after that. But there's no reason that's, I mean, first of all, that is the right move for some people. Don't want to say it's not, but for a lot of people, it's not. And again, you kind of did that. It sounds like you got your master's, you taught for 7 years, and now you realize, hey, it's time to move on. And you took what you knew, and you took all the lessons you took from that, and now you'll be moving forward with a great deal of knowledge and experience. And most people, had you done this in your early 20s, you probably wouldn't have appreciated it as much. So
not at all.
It all comes at the right time. I mean, it sounds like you're hitting this at the right time, and I'm excited for you to be going in on this. And I'd like to know, while you're traveling, do you plan on doing coaching online, or what's your approach for kind of pursuing this holistic health coaching side of things?
Yeah, absolutely. And I just want to say, like, the overwhelming support that I've gotten, I'm not sure how it was for you. I would imagine it's the same, but I feel like a lot of people want to live vicariously through us, because they're not willing to take that jump to go out and travel and just go do something randomly. So as frightening as it is, I'm also extremely excited and stoked for this. But to go back to your other question, all my coaching I can do remotely. So that's not too much of an issue on where I'm at. So I'll do a lot of online I would prefer face-to-face consultations and coaching, but that doesn't always lend itself. So we'll do a lot of remote coaching via Skype sessions and going back and forth. So that's where a lot of the energy and time will be going towards this next couple months, Rob.
Cool, man. Yeah, that's exciting. And I guess just in terms of traveling, I know you're going to New Mexico first. What are the other spots, the places on your journey that you are planning on hitting that you really want to hit in the high priority areas?
I would like to work up the West Coast, like Northern Cali and Oregon and Washington. I think that'd be kind of really cool. I've never really been there, but for some reason I just have an innate desire to go that way. But otherwise, not like.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, otherwise, it's just go with the flow. Like, if we want to go to Texas, we can go to Texas. If we want to go to Maine, we can go to Maine. I'm not really set in stone.
Well, that's cool, man. Yeah, I've never been to the far Northwest. I worked on a farm outside of Sacramento when I was 20 years old, so it was a little number of years ago. But yeah, no, I've never been to the Northwest, really. It's something, too, that I felt very called to. And I think that, I mean, again, my assumption and the information I've gathered is just very much environmentally aware in terms of the mindset people have out there. There's a lot of outdoor activities. It's just a very, very healthy atmosphere. And from what I've gathered, I can't say from experience, but it sounds like, I think your intuition is calling you to a place that you might learn quite a bit from. And then, I mean, obviously, if you make it out to Maine, you got to let me know, because I'm out here in Boston, so it's not too far from home for me. But yeah, man, that's awesome. So I guess when you're talking about doing the coaching online, and when you eventually get back to Iowa or wherever you end up, what is your vision for? You said you wanted to start a facility. What does that facility look like? What is the end goal, the vision of your dream when you settle down look like?
The end goal is still a little vague, Rob. I just know I want to work with people on health and nutrition and movement and correcting themselves so they're better vision, or they have a better version of themselves. Whether that's in a clinic with someone, like working with a chiropractor, that'd be awesome, or a physio, or just myself. I'm not gonna isolate, I guess, any future endeavors and say I don't want to do this, or I do want to do this. I'm going with it. Just kind of like what I did with teaching. Like, I knew I needed to do that, but I'm not sure where my outlet was going to be. So I'm just going to continue going this path, and I know the direction I have to go, and the destination is not finalized yet. But I did, for the last couple of years, I've had a garage gym, and I've always trained people and coached people and did some assessments out of there. So I do like that atmosphere of having something like a smaller gym atmosphere where I can, if I want to do small classes, or if I want to do one-on-one sessions for corrective exercise and training clients, I know that's something I do enjoy. So something along that realm, if that answers your question.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's awesome. So, all right. So I want to ask you another couple questions here. First of all, what would you tell the audience in terms of if there's one or two changes they can make into their lives to improve their overall health and happiness? What would you say are your one or two big recommendations for that?
Biggest recommendations for making the biggest impact or the greatest impact in their lives, I would start listening to your body. There's a quote out there, I forget how it goes, but like the body whispers to you. And if you get quiet enough to hear the whispers, you'll start being able to understand like what's going on. I forget who said the quote or how it goes, but I think just becoming aware of your body and understanding that you have a lot more say in your health, and then what society leads us to believe. You don't always have to go to someone else to fix yourself. You can actually help yourself out.
Awesome, man. Yeah, I love that. And it's something, too, that I find that when I take the time to be still, to be in silence and meditation or reflection or whatever that quiet area is, maybe just going for a walk by myself, I tend to find the answers that I'm looking for. And I think that we tend to search outward for our answers, whether it be through Google, because we have so much information available. But a lot of times we can't find that information on the internet. We can't find that information in a book. Sometimes it really does come down to listening to our bodies, like you just said, and being quiet enough to listen to it. So with that, I'd like to know, what are your practices for tuning into your body, for getting to that point of quiet, of stillness? What are your practices in that area to help people really get a vision of what you do to listen to your body and get to that place where you can listen to it?
Yeah, as I said before, I've done a lot of journaling. Like, first it started with me counting calories way back when, just so I had a better idea of food and proportions. And it's gone. It's come to me cataloging all my signs and symptoms after I eat. And now it's just me. Once you get to that level, I feel like you don't need to always catalog things. It's not a bad thing, but now I'm just more aware of, because I don't eat a ton of foods. I eat organic. So what if I get something that's off? I can tell by how my body responds to it. And I've just cultivated that awareness throughout the last couple of years of just listening. And I'm far from perfect right now, but I know I'm right on the correct path to get there.
Awesome, man. Well, so just as you're going about your journey here, and I said this is the first day in about 7 or 8 years you haven't been going back to school. So where can people find you to follow along with your journey, to see all the cool traveling and all the great work you'll be doing? Where's the best people to follow you and to support you and join you on the journey?
Absolutely, man. My Instagram is at KuhleFit, and that's KuhleFit. My last name is Kuhle, Mr. Kuhle. Students love that. It was always an easy way to get kids to like me. So Instagram, Facebook's KuhleFit. If you want to email me or reach out, you got questions, KuhleFit@gmail. And then the website, by the time this is launched, my guess would be the website should be launched too, because we are in the process of making it live right now. And that's also at KuhleFit.com. So pretty much you Google KuhleFit and you'll come across something of mine.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for hopping on here, and I wish you the best of luck in your journey. And definitely, as I said, don't hesitate to reach out with any traveling questions or ideas, or when you make it out to New England.
Oh man, I appreciate that. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a blast,
brother. So let's talk soon and enjoy the journey, my man.
Absolutely, Rob. Thank you once again.
Absolutely. All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. Peace. Thank you again for listening to this episode of the Whole Health with Rob Carney podcast. And on this episode, we had our guest, Nick Kuhle. So again, you can follow him on social media or at his website, and you search KuhleFit, KuhleFit, and you'll find something of his there. So he's a great guy, based in Iowa, currently on his traveling journey. I believe at the moment of releasing this, he will be in Albuquerque, New Mexico. So I would love for you guys to follow along with him, reach out to him, support him on his journey as he goes about this vagabonding journey that we mentioned is so important for our personal development. And as always, this podcast is brought to you by our superfood sponsors, Mushroom Revival and Purium Health Products. So if you go to mushroom-revival.com, you can find all sorts of medicinal mushrooms such as reishi, cordyceps, lion's mane, all that great medicine that can help you in your daily life with energy, sleep, anxiety. Those superfoods are there to help you, as well as iShopPurium.com. And at both of those websites, if you use the code wholehealth, that's WHOLE health, that will save you 15% on your every order at Mushroom Revival and $50 off your first order at Purium. So thank you again. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. And if you liked it, please like it. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and the follow if you're following us on Instagram, or if you're not following us on Instagram and Facebook. So thank you again for listening, and looking forward to hearing the future episodes.